So there's this argument that's been going around various gaming spaces as of late that games exclusive to one platform are anti-consumer and that gaming platforms shouldn't be defined by their exclusives, but rather secondary things like hardware, UI, multimedia capabilities, etc. A video about this topic was made recently by Griffin Gaming, where he approached the argument and those making it with a more understanding and diplomatic approach. He was essentially playing the good cop. Well, now it's the bad cop's turn. To the people using these talking points, there's really no nice sugar-coated way to say this, so I'll just come right out with it. You're fucking retarded. Like, I'm seriously surprised you're even able to use a computer or smartphone to say this dumb shit. That's how retarded you are, and I will take great pleasure in shitting on your generic brand cornflakes logic. Unlike Griffin Gaming, I'm not going to even entertain the idea that there's valid points or value in this mentality, because factually, there isn't any of either. This type of idiocy needs to stop, and I'm going to put a stop to it right now. I'm not going to waste too much time on the second statement, because most of the people spewing that dumb fuckery are ex-thought corporate slaves trying to damage control the fact that the Xbox One has been going through an exclusive famine for a couple of years now at least, and there's zero doubt in my military mind that the moment some real quality exclusives finally come along, their tune will change quicker than next-gen 720 climaxing on a grandmother that he secretly wishes was his own. Hell, we've already seen these same X-thoughts flip-flopping on this and various other subjects before, so it's just par for the course with them. No, the real dumb shit I want to address is this notion that exclusives are anti-consumer and bad for gamers. Now let me clarify a few things. First, I'm neither referring to first-party or third-party exclusives specifically, as I know that neither are bad for gamers, nor are they anti-consumer. Second, I'm in no way referring to timed exclusives, as not only do I not give a fuck about them, but if they do wind up on another platform, they will cease to be an exclusive of any distinction. Which leads me to my third and final disclaimer, which is to clearly define what an exclusive is and to put to bed other dumb shit-ass terms like timed exclusives or my favorite, console exclusives. In the realm of gaming, just like in the realm of life, there are only two genders. I repeat, two genders. Those being exclusives and multiplats. An exclusive is a game that cannot be played anywhere else other than one specific platform. For example, Uncharted 4 cannot be played anywhere else other than a PS4. Hence, it's an exclusive to that platform. If the day ever came that it could be played on the PC via PS Now, it will then become a multiplat, which is short for multi-platform. Stop putting value into bullshit marketing terms like timed exclusives and the dreaded console exclusives. I don't give a rat's ass that the only console you can play Cuphead on is the Xbox One, because it is not the only platform you can play it on due to it being available on the PC, thus meaning I don't need to buy an Xbox One to play it. Therefore, Cuphead is not an exclusive of any kind, but rather a multiplat. People who seriously use these dumb made-up marketing terms are the gaming equivalent of Tumblrite SJWs making up bullshit labels like pan-fluid bigender or identifying as a wolfkin. It's stupid, you're stupid, stop being stupid. Get it? Got it? Good. Now, why are people making this dumbass exclusives are anti-consumer assertion on the internet? Could be for a few reasons, which I'll get into more detail about later. However, I have what I consider to be a pretty strong theory as to what all these people have in common. That being, they're all people who just got into gaming last gen, as in during the PS3/Xbox 360/Wii era. What's my basis for this theory? Simple. Just go to Google and type either exclusives are bad for gaming or exclusives are anti-consumer and look through the results. I defy you to find any results, be it forum posts, social media posts, or gaming articles, that predates last gen. Hell, I combed through a shit ton of results, and the earliest one I found that talks about it was from 2012, damn near when the current gen started. Now, you naysayers are probably saying, that doesn't prove anything. You don't know what these people's actual gaming experience is just by what they post. Really? Then why am I not finding any results before 2012, let alone before 2005 when last gen officially started? Posting on forums and written gaming news articles on the internet was a thing long before 2005. So if there were any old school gamers that have this mentality, it should stand to reason that I should be able to find gamers talking about this around 2000 or 2001. No, see, this is a new thing. And the reason why it's a new thing is because of all these Johnny-come-latelys and born-in-3D gamers that have made it a thing. Because if you've been gaming since the 8-bit era or before, like me, you wouldn't be caught dead saying such stupid shit. I'm well aware of the fact that gaming standards have changed since then in a great many areas. But the one thing that hasn't changed, and likely never will change, is the concept of platform exclusives and their ability to sell the platforms they're exclusive to. Actually, that's not 100% entirely true either, because back in the day, there were a fuck ton more exclusives for each platform, which is further evidence that this mentality is coming from gamers who just started last gen. If y'all think exclusives are anti-consumer now, when the market is primarily dominated by third-party multiplats, you'd be sobbing into your fucking pillow about reporting companies to the Better Business Bureau during the 16-bit era. Hell, the market was so dominated by exclusives at that time that roughly 60 to 70% of the third-party multiplats were home ports of arcade games. So if it wasn't a problem then, why the hell is it one now? That's why I can't take any UX thoughts parading this bullshit seriously when you claim to have been gaming since the early 80s. Every time you clowns claim to be old school gamers, but then say exclusives are anti-consumer to make yourself feel better about the Xbox One hardly having any, you fucking expose yourselves for the frauds that you are. Now, for all of you new fag exclusives or anti-consumer gamers that are watching this, let me explain to you how shit really works. The gaming industry, just like pretty much everything in life, thrives on competition. The main aspect of competition between gaming platforms is, always has been, and likely always will be, each platform's exclusives. I mean, for fuck's sakes, why do you think exceptionally good exclusives are referred to as system sellers? Competition of this magnitude creates clear and distinct choices between platforms, which is about the furthest thing from anti-consumer as you can possibly get. You know what will likely happen in this fuck bubble gaming utopia of all games being on all platforms scenario you're trying to make a reality? Let me quarterback this thing for you. First thing, consoles will probably go extinct because if every single game is also on PC, that means that the only way consoles could possibly compete is through the other aspects you clowns just so happen to think are the main aspects of competition between the platforms, such as hardware performance and specs, UI, multimedia features, etc. And guess what? The PC objectively stomps a Grand Canyon-sized mud hole in any console's ass and stomps it dry in all of these aspects, and has for over a decade. And this is coming from somebody whose preference is consoles. Tell me I'm wrong in saying that. I fucking dare you. What's that you say? Consoles could still compete via various gimmicks? Wrong answer. PC has done pretty much every gimmick consoles have and then some. Portability? That's what laptops are for. Motion controls? PC has done it. 3D? PC has done it. VR, PC has done it. 4K, PC has done it. Backwards compatibility, say it with me, class, PC has done it. So now that the PC has clearly and objectively outclassed consoles in any possible competitive aspects in this scenario y'all are presenting, there would be zero reason for anybody to own a console. Thus, console sales would tank, and no company would be foolish enough to commit financial suicide by making any more. That leaves the digital distribution platforms within the PC platform to fight amongst themselves. But wait, they all have the same games as well, right? Well, then the cycle would just repeat itself all over again. Since games are off the competitive table, that means that these platforms would have to compete via other methods. Since it's pretty much a universally established fact that Steam is regarded as the #1 digital distribution platform for PC, I'll be using them as the example. While the competitive result between these digital distribution platforms wouldn't be as swift as PC versus consoles, eventually the market leader, that being Steam, would win out, as there would be little to no reason to use any other digital distribution platform, as Steam is considered better in all other competitive areas from a grand market scale, hence why it's considered the #1 digital platform for PC. So congratulations! Your fantasy world scenario of all games being on all platforms has caused Steam to hold a monopoly over all of gaming, and as a result, they can dictate whatever the fuck they want to consumers and game developers alike in terms of policy/user agreements, because they're the only game in town. Now, I'm sure your next query will be, well, how do you know that exclusives have been what primarily drives competition? Doesn't more powerful hardware have more of a competitive edge over exclusives? Spoken like a true hypothetical Johnny-come-lately and or born in 3D gamer. Allow me to address your line of questioning with a little history lesson. I know this area of gaming is before y'all's time, so please try to keep up. Let's set the Wayback Machine to summer of 1989, with the release of the Sega Genesis in the US. Now, most people say that the Genesis's direct competitor was the Super Nintendo, and for the most part, that's factually correct. However, the Super Nintendo didn't hit the US market until summer of 1991. 2 full years after the Genesis. That means that the original NES, an 8-bit system, was competing with the Genesis, a 16-bit system which was in just about every way technically superior to the NES. Surely that would guarantee that the Genesis would absolutely blast, no pun intended, the NES in the ass based on these people's idiotic logic of hardware specs and feature set being the main competitive elements, right? Yeah, about that. You might have noticed that I've been speaking purely about the US market. And the fact that I live in the US is not only not my only reason for doing so, it's not even my main reason. I'm focusing on the US market specifically because it's actually the tiebreaker between the 3 biggest world markets in gaming, the other 2 being Europe and Japan. The NES, or Famicom, completely destroyed the Genesis in the Japanese market, while the NES was barely outselling the Genesis in Europe at first, before the Genesis stuffed a sales dominance dick in the NES's mouth. Plus, the Sega Master System outsold the NES in Europe for some reason, so Europe became a primarily Sega-dominated market, which ties the primary global sales game. Hence, the tiebreaker being the US. So how did the Genesis perform against the NES in the States? Well, we can let the 1989 sales figures slide because when the Genesis came out, there were only 4 more months left in that year, so it wouldn't be a fair comparison. But what about in 1990 and 91, when the Genesis had plenty of time to gain its stride? The NES, the inferior 8-bit system, completely pushed the Genesis's shit in, despite the Genesis being the superior piece of hardware. Now, how could that be possible? Oh, that's right, a better library of exclusives. On a side note, hi Kid Smooth. Still think gaming is all about how powerful the hardware is over the games themselves? If so, you're a fucking moron. Anyways, now you might be saying, it's not a fair comparison regardless because the NES had been out for 4 years before the Genesis. That argument would hold some weight if we were talking about the overall sales from the beginning of the NES's life cycle, but we're only comparing the numbers from the time the Genesis was released, so consider that a preemptive nice try. And guess what? That's not the only example of this phenomenon. The PS1 was, from a spec standpoint, inferior to the N64 and arguably the Sega Saturn as well, yet it outsold them both. The PS2 was hands down inferior to both the GameCube and Xbox from a spec standpoint, and only being superior to the Sega Dreamcast. Guess what the main aspect was that won Sony the day in both instances? Exclusives! Now, I know some of you are going to try to bring up exceptions to this long-standing rule, such as the Nintendo Wii and Wii U. In the former's case, PS3 and Xbox 360 had the better exclusive lineup, yet the Wii outsold them both, while the latter had damn near nothing but exclusives and sold like mesquite grilled elephant shit. But people that want to bring up these exceptions aren't paying attention to the context of the external factors that contributed to both those situations. In the Wii's case, it was mostly bought by super casual gamers at best and non-gamers at worst due to the fact of the motion controls. Once these people had their 15 minutes of fun with their fellow non-gamer friends at parties with Wii Sports, the Wii became a glorified paperweight and dust collector, and you all damn well know it. Guess what else contributed to the Wii's ultimate failure of longevity despite its high sales? The fact that a good chunk of the exclusives were shovelware garbage. And then we have the Wii U. Everybody likes to use the fact that it wasn't marketed properly to explain why it failed. While that may have contributed to the Wii U's premature demise somewhat, what I truly believe was the Wii U's ultimate undoing was its paltry game library. Third-party multiplat developers abandoned it within the first year due to the hardware not being up to snuff with the performance standards of the time, which left first and third-party exclusives scrambling to pick up the slack. Well, because there were no third-party multiplats to tide gamers over during the long development times of these exclusives, this led to multi-month droughts of little to no games being released for the system. If the Wii U had been constantly pumping out high-quality exclusive after high-quality exclusive to match and compete with the overall library outputs of the other consoles, I think we might be looking at the Wii U far differently than we look at it today. If Nintendo insists on doing their own thing within the console market, then they need to go all out and make a platform that has damn near nothing but high-quality exclusives that are released in a timely, competitive manner. Kind of like what they do with their handhelds to resounding success. So yes, while there are on-the-surface exceptions to this rule of exclusives being the main competitive force of the gaming industry, there are far more historically proven instances that reinforce this rule with titanium plating. Having the mentality that any factor other than exclusive should be the main competitive selling point of the various gaming platforms is what leads to stupid shit like Livewire saying a UHD Blu-ray is an Xbox console exclusive. Is that what you want? To think like Livewires, or to have more people that think like Livewires, aka the 2017 Corporate Slave Awards Rookie of the Year and Champion? Hell, my girlfriend saw that tweet of his and didn't even believe he legit thought like that. And she didn't even get into gaming on a regular basis till the PS2, which makes her one of those late to the party people I've been referring to in this entire video. And even she couldn't believe the level of retardation on display from him. She was like, he has to be trolling. There's no way somebody can be this stupid. I refuse to believe it. But then I showed her this other tweet from him that 100% confirmed that sadly, he's not trolling in the slightest and that yes, he really is that stupid. I mean, bless her heart, she really does try to see the value in everybody and tries to understand where other people are coming from with their perspectives. But as I've told and shown her many times, there are some opinions and perspectives that clash with facts and reality so much that they just can't be defended or spun in a positive light no matter how you look at it. Because some people really are 100% grade A, black gold, Texas tea, retarded. So now we've returned to the original question I presented. Why are people trying to push this agenda of dumb fuckery? Well, I've already established that a major factor is that pretty much everybody saying this crap are people that just got into gaming last gen, as are corporate slaves trying to damage control the fact that the platform they're fanboying for has a severe lack of set exclusives. But are there any other reasons / justifications that these people use to spread this bullshit narrative? Surprisingly, yes. And I'm mortified to disclose that I've seen PC elitists using the same dumb shit argument to try to spread the narrative that limiting a game's availability to an inferior performing product is anti-consumer. When you read between the lines, though, what it boils down to is that they're saltier than a motherfucker that a game is exclusive to any other platform but theirs. But you can bet these same motherfuckers turn around and flaunt all their exclusives to the console peasants on a daily basis. Look, PC Master Race, we get it. In many aspects that matter, the PC rocks any console's face and has for at least a decade now. However, the reality is that you need consoles to exist for the same exact reason why every platform needs exclusives. I don't care how awesome the PC is. Nobody wants to see one sole gaming platform running the whole gaming industry show and dictating all the rules to the consumers and developers, no matter how superior the platform is. That type of scenario can only hurt gaming as a whole. Do you honestly believe that the PC would remain the open gaming market that it is if it was the only market in town? I highly doubt it, as the hypothetical sole PC gaming platform would have no business incentive to do so. Another idiotic justification I've seen for this exclusives being anti-consumer rhetoric is that platform exclusivity does a disservice to poor gamers who can't afford to have more than one platform to play these games. I'm sorry, did gaming all of a sudden become an inalienable human right when I wasn't aware? Should these gaming platform companies be tried for crimes against humanity for having exclusives for their platform to drive sales of said platform? People, I fucking love gaming, and I consider it a core pillar of my entire life. Yet you will never, ever hear me bitch and complain that I can't play specific games because I can't afford to have multiple gaming platforms. Because as much as I love gaming, realistically at the end of the day, gaming is a privilege and a luxury, not a fucking bare necessity like food, clothing, and shelter. I mean, give me a fucking break. You people need to grow the fuck up, experience the real world, and get your priorities in order. If you can't afford more than one platform or any platform at all, then you shouldn't be prioritizing gaming in any sense until you're in the financial position to do so. I know that's going to hurt some of y'all's feelings and clash with your entitled sensibilities, but it's the stone cold truth. It's not these companies' job or responsibility to make sure you are able to play all the games you want to play at any time. They're trying to make money and you gotta pay to play. And if you can't pay, oh fucking well. Welcome to real grown-up life. Y'all need to stop whining that you can't afford multiple gaming platforms, get your fucking life straightened out, and be able to financially take care of yourself on a proficient level before even considering gaming as a regular hobby / means of entertainment. I think this rant has gone on long enough, so I'll leave you with this. To anybody saying this stupid nonsense, regardless of your reasons and or justifications, you need to shut the fuck up until you know what the fuck you're talking about, because clearly you don't. And none of what I've said here is my opinion. Everything in this video that I've stated is factual, therefore not open for debate and not for you to question, but for you to accept. I've clearly established that most, if not all, of the people saying this dumb shit online are Johnny-come-latelys and or fraudulent corporate slaving man-children whose thoughts, beliefs, and opinions have no value to old school gamers like me that have seen the gaming industry grow and evolve to what it is today and have seen firsthand what competition does for the industry as well as what competitively works and what doesn't. If you're new to gaming and want to come into the hobby, great. The more the merrier. But if you're going to come, you better come correct, because it's a major pet peeve of old school gamers like myself when you say some dumb shit like this that blatantly shows your lack of credibility. If you don't feel like you have to know what the fuck you're talking about when it comes to gaming, then it'd behoove you to get the fuck out of my hobby post-haste. Because all you will accomplish is to make other gamers such as myself look bad, as well as yourself, do a disservice to the gaming hobby as a whole, and to get yourself clowned and exposed on a regular basis. To sum up, exclusives and their quality are the main driving competitive aspect of gaming platform/hardware sales. Fucking deal with it. Thank you and good night. The Great Exposer has spoken.